And welcome back to the desk. I am joined by U.S. Senator Gary Peters. Hello there. Welcome back.
It's great to be with you.
Good to see you. So let's talk a little bit. You are on a panel this week, your congressional bipartisan panel, we should note. It is called Navigating Divisive Times. What's your message right now when it feels like voters and Americans just feel like we can't get away from these divisive times?
Well, it is omnipresent with folks who are digging into kind of the silos. But it's not just Congress. We're all there. We've been sent by the people back home. It's everybody is in this hyper-partisan, polarized world. And until that starts changing broadly, it's going to be tough to get through this. But I want to be able to offer some hope that we can get things done. You know, I work and take great pride in working in a bipartisan way. Last Congress, I had more of the bills that I authored signed into law than any senator in the last 40 years. And all of those bills, for the most part, I had a Republican lead with me that we were able to pass. You build trust. We can get things done. You don't see a lot of that because a lot of folks don't cover that. And, you know, if you think, not this program, of course, that wants to have a deliberative discussion. But let's use cable news as an example. You know, if I say I've got this bipartisan bill that I passed, I'd love to talk about it. They're like, well, we don't really have time for that. But if you'll come on the show and take the news of the day and throw some rocks and show some outrage, we'll put you on the show. And so that's what people see. And unfortunately, that kind of feeds on itself. And it actually, I think it incentivizes that kind of behavior from some of my colleagues so they can get on cable TV and show outrage, whether on the right or the left. But things aren't getting done on TV. They're getting done when people build relationships and pass bills.
What are the building blocks in your mind of trying to work collaboratively? Because what we do hear from voters is they say they want to see bipartisanship. They say they want to see compromise. But then you see something like the immigration bill, right, that just got torpedoed. So what advice then can you offer for Americans when they're seeing this and just hearing this news?
Well, I'd say you're right, because when I talk to people, they say that we want to see this. We want to see people coming together and get things done. So then my response would then you need to start voting that way. You actually have to vote for people who do that, and you have to reward people who are acting that way, and not people that you just see on TV and get folks worked up. You know, it's kind of interesting is that there's a Center for Effective Lawmaking, which ranks members based on our ability to get laws passed. It's nonpartisan. It's Vanderbilt University, University of Virginia, and they rank it. But if you look at the rankings, the folks at the bottom, in terms of least effective, tend to be the people you see on TV the most. There's almost an inverse correlation of folks who are out there, but they're not actually rolling up their sleeves and getting work done. But, you know, they're the ones that can raise money off of that. They can do their emails. They can raise campaign funds. They get rewarded for that. If I put out an email and say I've just passed a great bipartisan bill to solve XYZ problem, I probably won't raise any money on an email. The system is definitely messed up.
So we only have about a minute left, but I really want to hear your thoughts on this. The chamber released a poll during this conference coming out that's saying among Michigan voters, something like only 67% of Michigan voters support democracy. What does that tell you about where we're at in 2024?
Well, first off, it's frightening. Obviously frightening, and to see that and to think that authoritarianism could be better. But it does show that we have to have a functioning democracy where we actually do get things done. We come together and find common ground. And if people don't see that, they're thinking, is there something else out there? Because clearly it's not happening, where people's voices are not being heard. You're not seeing that in policy. So if you have a dysfunctional, what I'd say the House Republicans right now, who haven't passed any meaningful legislation, or limited, very limited. In fact, I think it's the worst legislative session we've seen in decades in terms of getting things done. People are wondering why. And then you have politicians that are out there, and this is fundamental, who are saying, even if I lose an election, I'm going to call that into question and say it was stolen, it was fraud. And when you start questioning the legitimacy of a free and fair election, you are challenging the legitimacy of democracy itself. That's fundamental. That people accept the vote totals. There's peaceful transfer of power. And when that occurs, it feeds into the other kind of malaise that you're seeing. and it's a very dangerous situation. So we have to change that.
Which I thought was interesting that we heard from Sandy Barua at this conference, basically not just imploring lawmakers, but business leaders and folks here in the audience basically to do better when they're talking about election fraud, when they're talking about democracy. Well, U.S. Senator Gary Peters, I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Thanks so much.